Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is our April 21st change of zone meeting. Let us begin with a salute to the flag. I'd ask Councilman O'Connor if he would please lead us in the pledge.
Happy to. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Please stand and place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, before we begin, I would just ask that anyone who wants to address the board regarding our scheduled public hearings, please either use the raise hand function or type into the Q&A line stating which particular hearing you wish to speak on. So having said all of that, our first scheduled public hearing tonight is TC 5364, Michael Small. That application has been withdrawn. Taking us to TC 53. Yes. That'll take us to our second application tonight, TC 5367, Pond Road LLC by Robert and Fanita. I'd ask the town clerk, Olga Murray, to please read the hearing notice.
Thank you.
What is that feedback? If you're not speaking, please go on mute, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Olga.
Thank you. Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Islip will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 5 p.m. via Zoom webinar and will be streamed live over the internet on the application of Pond Road LLC by Robert Apanita, TC 5367. Applicant requests a change of zone from Industrial 1 District to Industrial 2 District for outdoor storage of equipment and materials. Site plan modifications may be required as part of this application. The environmental impacts will also be assessed on this property located in the Connecticut Central School District on the west side of Pond Road, approximately 640 feet south of Connick Street, Ronkonkoma, known as 2174 Pond Road, Town of Islip, Suffolk County, New York. Town Board, Town of Islip, Olga Murray, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Olga. The applicant is ready to present. Please do. You may want to come off mute, please, so we can hear you.
The applicant is represented by,
Ooh.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're on mute, but you're also speaking. So I think you have to choose one means of addressing us because you're getting feedback. Are you on the phone? Oy vey. Ay. Mr. Garbarino, would you unmute your phone?
I've unmuted.
Well, it's still coming up that you're muted.
Hold on.
Tom, can you see about unmuting him?
Yeah, he's actually in here twice. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
move
know,
one of
that's
them
the
back to
problem.
attendee.
So one's got to come off.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can put him back to attendee. I don't know which one. Okay, that one's the one without video. All right, now if he unmutes this one, the one where he has
If you could, Mr. Garbarino, try unmuting on your speaker on your computer.
Yeah, I
We
actually
can't
found
hear
it.
you. You're still muted on your speaker on your computer.
The other thing I can try too is I can move back the other one without the video where he could talk and then move this one out.
All right, let's try that.
Okay. Now he can unmute the other device that he was using.
Okay, Mr. Garbarino, if you can hear me, please unmute the other device that you were using. We'll be able to hear you.
Well, I
Oh, God.
He's got to
Oh,
turn
yeah,
off.
three
Got to turn off
times.
the other device.
Do you want me to call in?
He has two devices that are way too close to each other. He's got to turn off
Mr.
one of the other.
Garbarino, you have two speakers too close to one another, and that's what's causing this horrendous feedback. So you need to pick one and speak into that one.
All right. Look, maybe I should just sign off and then re-sign back in.
That sounds like a good idea. Could you do it quickly, though?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not 100% sure him logging off and logging back in will solve the problem. He needs to just choose one device and that's it. Turn off the volume, turn off the other device in of itself because they're picking up each other.
Sorry, I had delays too getting on. I apologize. It's funny.
You know, I'm not going to wait much longer. We may go to the next application and he'll have to come back in later. What do you
Okay.
think?
He's in the waiting room as an attendee.
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Don't use the Lord's name in vain. I know you're frustrated. It's okay.
No, those were prayers. You misinterpreted what I was saying.
Okay, good.
Oh, here he is. Mr. Garbarino?
Yes.
Okay, great. We can hear you. You
Yeah,
may begin.
All right. Well, I'm representing the applicant in this matter. We've went to the planning board and we've got approval and we've met with them and met what they wanted us to do to the site, do some more screening and specify where we were going to store the outdoor storage. And we've done that. And at this stage of the game, I defer to planning for their comments. And if anybody has any questions, I'll come back and answer them.
Okay, thank you. Sean, if you will.
Thank you, Supervisor Carpenter, members of the board. This application proposes an industrial 2 use with outdoor storage of construction vehicles and materials. This site is located in an area of the town where industrial 2 zoning exists. The proposed covenants limit the location of the outdoor storage, and the site will be cleaned up and better organized as shown on the conceptual site plan. So with that, the staff has no objections. I'm here if the board has any questions.
Terrific. Does anyone on the board have any questions of the applicant or the department at this point?
No.
Has anyone signed up to speak on this, Sean?
No.
Okay, great. Then it seems that we could move to a motion.
Make a motion to close the public hearing, accept the negative deck and approve the change.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilman Cochran. We
Second.
have a motion and a second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for the technical difficulties.
No problem. Thank you. Next item, TC 5368. Sean, it's my understanding that we haven't received the necessary documentation from the county yet. Is this true?
That is correct.
Okay. I do see the applicant is on. Mr. Foreman, you're aware of that? Could you unmute, please? Mr. Foreman, if you
Yes,
could unmute, great, thank you.
sorry. Thank you.
No problem.
Am I aware of what with the county?
That some documentation we are supposed to be receiving so that we could proceed on this has not, in fact, gotten to us yet.
I don't know what you're referring to, though. Sean, what are you referring to?
Sean, if you could,
Whenever an application exists in close proximity to a state highway, it gets referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, and they'll either opt to vote on it to make some sort of recommendation to the town board or issue a matter of local determination. We haven't received that formal paperwork yet. The planning staff anticipates that we will receive it as a matter of local determination because there's presumably no countywide impacts. So all that means tonight is the board can't make a formal decision. We can still proceed with the public hearing. And depending on how that goes, we can bring it back, presumably at the next hearing, for an actual decision.
Okay.
all right, so, while we hear them, why don't you make your presentation and we'll hear from the department and proceed accordingly so that we can at least close the hearing, and next month it'll just be a pro forma action.
You talking to me?
Did we call the public hearing?
No.
Goodness.
Actually, no, we'll have the clerk read the hearing notice on 5368 before we go to Mr. Foreman. Olga, if you would.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Islip will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 5 p.m. via Zoom webinar and will be streamed live over the internet on the application of Dennis Foreman, TC 5368. Applicant requests a change of zone from Business 2 District and Industrial 1 District to All Industrial 1 District, and a modification of deed covenants and restrictions associated with TC 4052 in order to construct a mini storage warehouse. Applicant further requests a waiver of submission of a surety bond to cover the costs of demolition of all or part of the mini storage warehouse pursuant to section 68-344B subdivision 1. Site plan relaxations are also required as part of this application. The environmental impacts will be assessed on this property located in the Sachem Central School District in Holbrook and located on the north side of Sunrise, approximately 300 feet east of Lincoln Avenue, Holbrook, also known as 5449 Sunrise Highway, Town of Islip, Suffolk County, New York. Town Board, Town of Islip, Olga Murray, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Olga. Mr.
welcome.
Foreman, if you wish to proceed.
Yes, I'm proposing to build a 3-story 148,000 square foot building. In reference to the relaxation, that was due to a basin. It was the rear landscaping, which the town preferred. I could put in pools. The planning preferred I put it in the basin. And on the last hearing, they agreed on that. It's going to be, I didn't put, just so you know, I'm in the self-storage. 2 years. I successfully run them in the town of Islip. The building's being built with no exterior doors, only little doors, one-person doors, except by the elevator. So it won't be like a mini storage looking building. So if it ever had to be changed, all you have to do is take out the interior. It could be a 3-story store. So I don't see the point in the bond. It's in a good location. I have 2 of them right down the block from there, 500 feet away. I'm also going for, just to let you know, trying to make it, you want half solar, which I'm willing to do. I'm trying to make it totally dependent on solar with heat pumps. I'm working it out with National Grid. So it's going to be a model roll for the town when it's there. It's going to be the nicest self-storage in the town of Islip. I've been around and I know there's a lot of competition going up by me, so I have to make it a little extra special. The location I'm at, the east side faces a woods and a sump. It's a sump and a self-storage inside Saddle Rock Apartments. The north side, it faces factories. On the west side, it has a woods and then it has old world molding and the bank. So it is basically the fascia is what's showing. It's set back like 100 feet. It's the fascia. I don't know if you saw any drawing of it or anything or any pictures, but it's going to, stick out as a beautiful building. And the landscaping, I got a ton of it in the front. Unlike other self-storages or anything on Sunrise Highway. Yeah, the biggest thing I know over the years is they didn't like seeing doors. And I figured on Sunrise Highway, let me make it all climate control, no doors, so it doesn't look like door. I put a lot of extra windows in the front, and I'm working with Kelly on the sides. I got along the side where the stripes are. I got 10 by 10 windows going in there for what do you call it? The fake windows.
Right.
Along the side, I think there's 14 on that one side alone. So it breaks it up a little bit more.
It's okay.
And that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Foreman. Are there any questions, or would you care to wait till after the department makes their presentation?
Madam Supervisor, I have some questions. I'll wait till the department goes
Okay, great.
first before I ask them, okay?
Awesome. All right, why don't you go ahead, Sean?
Thank you. This application looks to take advantage of recent code amendments allowing larger self-storage facilities with certain requirements. The location is ideal for a low traffic use like a self-storage facility, given its proximity to an intersection and the curvature of this portion of the South Service Road. The applicant has submitted samples of building materials that do not meet the spirit and intent of the ordinance allowing larger facilities. We will continue to work with him to find materials that are in compliance with the code. And as I understand, Mr. Foreman still has that dialogue going on with Kelly. In addition, as stated earlier, we did not receive that local determination from the Suffolk County Planning Commission, so we will recommend that the board reserve decision tonight, and we'll continue working with the applicant to bring out those materials that we think will be in compliance with the bonus criteria.
Okay. Jim, if you want to begin with your questions.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Sean, I know it's gratuitous, but I want to thank you and the whole planning department for everything that you do to keep us as town board members informed and educated and prepared for these hearings, because it's important that we come to these meetings prepared. So Councilwoman Bergen and I had a prep session with you on Friday. We went over some things with you, and this is really more for the applicant's benefit than anybody else's. We are given a significant package. And what is interesting to note is I know all of my town board members, fellow town board members, read every single line of these packages that we get. And I noticed that there were 3 different instances where there were blanks where we usually see information. The first one you've addressed already, which is that we are awaiting receipt from Suffolk County Planning Commission on a determination whether it should be a local determination. You have addressed that. The other two are as it relates to the covenants and restrictions, specifically with respect to number 3, operational restrictions, hours of operations. Those are still left blank. So is that something that is still in negotiation with the applicant? And that question is for our planning department, Mr. Colgan.
Yes.
Okay, and then the next question I have is as it relates to this covenant restriction number 7, specifically architectural elevation review and signage. I think you spoke about it a little bit in your remarks, but there are blanks left in that document. And when we went over it on Friday, I think you said it was because there were still some issues as it relates to particular materials that were being used by the applicant. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So with the application is submitted a very, very nice rendering at the back of the package. It looks like a very nice building, but can you help us through what the problem is with that rendering and what we're looking at as it relates to why item number 7 is still left blank and still an item of negotiation with the applicant?
Yeah, so with regards to item number 7, in order to comply with the bonus floor area ratio that the applicant is trying to, benefit from, and, as stated in the code, he needs to provide superior architecture, and that is defined in the code. And specifically, what we noted is missing from the renderings is more vertical interruptions amongst the 4 sides of the building. You see it pretty varied along the front of the building, but along the sides, there's not enough windows or variation materials that comply with that definition. In addition, the samples the applicant submitted have a stucco appearance, which does not comply with the superior architecture definition as defined in the town code. So in order for him to benefit from the 1 FAR that he's seeking without going to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and possibly with or without the blessing of this board, I don't know, he would need to substitute those materials so that they do comply with the appropriate materials that comply with the definition of superior architecture. So that's why that is blank. We don't have a date or renderings that show compliance.
So that I understand it thoroughly and completely, and so the record is complete. In order to exceed the FAR, the applicant would normally have to go to the Board of Zoning Board of Appeals to get a variance, correct?
Correct.
But in this instance, if the applicant can show superior architecture, then this town board can allow him not to go through the process of going to the ZBA and approve this application, but it would need to show superior design materials. And this application at this time does not show that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Sean.
Are there any other questions for the department?
Can you guys still hear me? I'm on audio, but then I'm bumped off video, so I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you.
Okay, awesome. Yes, Madam Supervisor, I feel like there is concerns with regards to the architectural standards with regards to the side of the building. It looks like it invites graffiti to me, honestly. It's like a big white slab of nothingness. And I hope that they can go back and maybe we can, reserve a decision on this item.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the department?
Can you see this? This is just some faux windows on the side to break it up. There would be more. They're 10 by 10.
Actually, no, Mr. Foreman, no, we cannot see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to go over things with Sean.
Yeah, I think that's probably
is
the best course of action at this point.
Right.
What I would suggest is perhaps we close the public. I'm sorry, I should wait. Yes, I'll wait.
No, that's all right. And I think I know where you're going. We said it earlier as far as closing the public hearing, but there still are issues that need to be addressed. So
yes,
probably reserving decision is the way to go. John, Kate, did you have any questions?
Madam Supervisor, I just had questions about the hours. That was my concern as well. I know Councilman O'Connor brought that up, and I'm not sure what the applicant's intentions are with respect to hours.
7 to 7.
Okay.
Not 24-hour access. It's going to be fully enclosed, the place, not like the other ones where you pull up to the door. 7 to 7.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions, comments?
No.
Hearing none, motion?
I'll make a motion, Council Supervisor, to close the public hearing, accept the negative declaration, reserve decision, please.
Well, at this point, we're not going to do anything with the, any secret determination, just close the public hearing and reserve decision.
Exactly.
Okay, then I make a motion to close the public hearing and reserve decision.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? The application is reserved. The hearing is closed.
Thank you.
That takes us to TC 5369, Sisters of St. Joseph. Olga, if you would please read the hearing notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Islip will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 5 p.m. via Zoom webinar and will be streamed live over the internet on the application of Sisters of St. Joseph, TC 5369. Applicant requests a change of zone from Residence AAA to General Service C and a minor subdivision in order to leave an existing skilled nursing facility. The environmental impacts will be assessed on this property located in the Brentwood School District on the south side of 3rd Avenue, approximately 415 feet east of Brentwood Road, Brentwood, 1725 Brentwood Road, Town of Islip, Suffolk County, New York. Town Board, Town of Islip, Olga Murray, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Olga. Okay, if the applicant is prepared to begin, we are ready to listen.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor and members of the board. Philip Butler with the law firm of Farrell Fritz on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined this evening by Sister Karen Burke and Sister Eileen Kelly, members of Sisters of St. Joseph, as well as Stephen File, who is with Cameron Engineering. So I'm just gonna put some context on this because this is a rather large property. So when the change of zone application came in, it probably raised a couple of eyebrows. So anyone who's familiar with the site knows it's a very large property. It is 211 acres of unsubdivided land, currently owned by the Sisters of St. Joseph. There are a number of projects currently going on that are strategic projects to basically optimize the existing uses of the property and to ensure the longevity of the sisters ministering and other works that are going on there. What is currently shown to you is a zoom in basically of the parcel A, which is the 13.788 acre lot we're looking to create and rezone from the residential district to general service in order to continue operating the existing 188 bed assisted living facility that currently operates there. Just to give you some history on, by the way, the name of the facility is Maria Regina Residences. It's been there since about 2001. To give you some background on it, again, opened in 2001, it is CO'd, as are all the other existing uses on the property. It was originally created as a place for individuals of the order to retire in place. However, over time, as the congregation has aged and gotten smaller, they started to admit lay persons, looking to retire and age in a Catholic atmosphere with access to ministering and Catholic services. It has turned into a slightly different operation than it originally started. So the sisters have operated the facility for the last 20 years successfully. However, it's not their focus. They're not necessarily assisted living facility operators. Therefore, they've looked for a new company that will take over the facility and operate it to its current standards and also in keeping with the traditions of the Catholic faith. They've identified that company. So now they need to subdivide out the facility and create its own parcel so that they can convey it to that operator. Part of the application and the only notable change that will occur in conjunction with this subdivision and change of zone is they are currently building a 750 square foot Aqua Point sewer treatment facility on the proposed Lot A to handle the wastewater generated solely from the Maria Regina residences. Currently, there are on-site sanitary systems that leach into the ground and don't necessarily treat the wastewater the most effectively. So the new Aqua Point system is going to replace those outdated systems so that it will improve the discharge going into the groundwater. So the only improvements, again, that are being proposed are the Aqua Point system, which you can see, it's roughly right under where it says parcel A on what's being shown. If I can share my screen, I can actually pull up another overhead, but again, it's the Aqua Point system, and there's going to be a force main leading from the Maria Regina residences to that system. As part of the subdivision and change of zone, there's also going to be a conservation easement imposed on the property, a 43-acre woodland conservation easement. The woodlands are located on the southern end of the property, adjacent to a solar farm that was recently completed in, I think it was 2019. That will join a farmland conservation easement of about 23 acres that was recently given to Suffolk County, as well as another easement for conservation that is in the process of being placed on the property. In total, about 103 acres of the 211-acre parcel will be conserved. So we think that this is overall a very beneficial project, not just for the reason that we're improving discharge to groundwater, but the conservation easement that is being attached to it will ensure that a very large portion of this property will be conserved in perpetuity. In terms of consistency with the surrounding zone, this is a general service. This is going to be a general service property, and the surrounding neighborhood is primarily residential. However, this is really a residential use. And the fact that it's existed here for the last 20 years without really any incident is a testament to the fact that it is compatible with what surrounds it. I think those are the core remarks that I wanted to make. There is a pending minor subdivision application that is already being processed at the town. When we were in front of the planning board last month, they gave a positive recommendation to the minor subdivision. That lot, again, is shown on what is shown on your screen. The lot does conform to all of the requirements of the town's subdivision regulations. It will have adequate frontage on 3rd Avenue, but it will also have access to Brentwood Avenue, 2nd Avenue, and I think 5th Avenue via the internal access drives that already exist on the campus. I'm trying to think if there was anything else, but I think that covers most of the important remarks. We also had a set of conditions that were provided to us when we were before the planning board. We've already reviewed those, signed them, and returned them to the town. So that's where we are right now. So if the board has any questions, we're happy to address them.
Okay, unless someone has a pressing question, why don't we hear from Sean and then we can address them at once?
Yeah.
Sean?
The skilled nursing facility has been operational for many years with no known complaints. The staff feels the location is optimal given its bucolic surroundings and proximity to downtown Brentwood. Therefore, we have no objection to the subdivision or the change of zone. Lastly, the applicant has offered to add buffer plantings in close proximity to the solar panels on site that's near some residences on the southeastern portion of the site. So that'll help to mitigate the views of that. So I'm here if you have any questions.
Sean, John Cochran. Hey, real quick question, because I go up there a lot on Second. When the train tracks go down, with these extra exits and entrances to the facility, going on to Brentwood Road and Second, has there been a traffic study?
There hasn't been a traffic study because there's no change of use on the site. The facility is already there.
Thank you.
Sean, how many acres actually is being subdivided off the 211?
It's a bit.
I have it in front of me if you want me to respond.
Sure.
It's 13.788 acres. And
And did I hear you say this is going to be conveyed to the new operator?
yes, I believe that is correct. And if I'm mistaken in that, Sister Karen or Sister Eileen can correct me.
Hi, sisters, how are you?
Hi, Supervisor Carpenter. Thank you for starting us with a prayer earlier this evening. That was very good. I was part of that. Yes, it is. Those are the 13.7 acres that would be conveyed to the new operator.
Is the new operator a for-profit entity or a not-for-profit?
I will.
I believe it's for profit.
It's a for-profit, yes.
So that would mean that this property now would no longer be tax exempt, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, does anyone have any questions? Any comments?
Madam Supervisor, if I can just respond to
Sure.
Councilman Cochran's question. So just with respect to the curb cuts, there is no new curb cut being proposed on Brentwood Avenue. The only new curb cut that is tentatively proposed would be out onto, I think, 3rd Avenue. And that's just because based on the subdivision requirements, there has to be a curb cut. We would just as soon not put it there if the town doesn't want it. Again, it's just to comply with the regulations. The site will have access through the existing driveways on the site.
Third, doesn't it dead end there? Sisters,
sorry?
doesn't that road with Third goes into your property? There's like a parking lot there, isn't there?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, when we're going on Third, if we're heading east on Third, when we cross over Brentwood Road, is there an access to the acreage now, or there is no curb cut there?
There is an access further down, would be further east on Third. There's an access point there, but there's no access point where the actual subdivision would be.
Okay, yeah, I've gotten turned around when I was going to your farm stand, so I ended up there one time.
Thank you for
Up in that
visiting the
parking lot.
farm stand. We appreciate that.
Oh, you're gonna continue the farm stand, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
All
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna prove this then.
Sean, did anyone sign up to speak on this?
Yes, we have one speaker. I will bring in
Okay.
Sheila Toussaint.
I assume the speaker is Sheila.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
If you could just, for the record, your name and address, and you do have 3 minutes to address the board on the application.
okay. My name is Sheila Toussaint. I live at 108 Rihanna Court in Brentwood, New York. It's the cul-de-sac that borders the solar panels. Okay, and
Yes.
I do understand that they said they are going to have additional plantings. Okay, and I want to make sure that what they're doing is putting trees that are sufficiently tall enough and breadth enough all along that line, because once this project was approved last time, the engineers, whoever was working with them, readjusted what they were doing, so they actually cut more trees along that line than they really should have. So there's no barrier, there's not sufficient barrier. So I want to make sure that they're not readjusting after everything is approved with this new application.
Okay. Thank you, Sheila.
So is that a a yes or no? Are they going to plant not just on the,
Well, you know,
the
this is your
my
opportunity. to
home,
make
but the
your-
entire?
Sheila,
Mhm.
we've heard what you've said, and if your remarks are concluded, when the applicant comes back on, we will certainly give them an opportunity to respond.
Okay,
All right?
one side.
Great, thank you. Now, Sean, does the plantings that are just being referred to by the solar farm have any relation to this particular application?
No, the solar panels are already up. The existing skilled nursing facility is to the northeast, a bit away from the subject site that Ms. Toussaint is concerned about.
Okay. So I do believe that we've heard this before a couple of, meetings ago. And if I do remember, I thought the sisters had talked about perhaps trying to address that, but it really doesn't have anything. It's not germane to this particular application, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Sisters, did you want to address?
Yeah, I would be glad to. Supervisor, we did address this issue, and I did actually go to visit the area by Mr. Jones' house, and we agreed there was not sufficient number of trees there in that area. And although it was approved by the town at the time of the solar, having looked at it, I agreed with her concern. So in good faith, we made the decision at our expense that we're planting 20 trees in that area. And in celebration of Earth Day today, the first 5 trees were planted today.
Oh, how wonderful.
And it's a good start. And so we have photos. I've sent them to our attorney showing the planting of the trees, but also all of the trees have been ordered at this point, and they are all more than 10 feet tall, which are quite an expense to start
Yes.
off the trees at that height. But we agreed, and we want to be good neighbors. And I think, Ms. Toussaint Jones made a good point there. When all of the foliage came, and some of the trees that were put in that area really didn't take. So she was right. I'm all about planting trees. So I appreciated the opportunity for more trees, and we didn't hesitate on it.
Well, thank you. And we appreciate your good faith in addressing the issue. And again, it really has nothing to do with this application, but it really is so indicative of what the sisters are all about. So we thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Are there any questions or comments for the department or the applicant at this point? Hearing none, I believe Councilman Cochran, you wanted to make the motion?
Make the motion to close the public hearing, accept the negative deck, and approve the change.
Motion, and we have a second. I'll second that. Okay, Councilman O'Connor.
We'll all
All
second.
those in favor?
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Thank you very much, sisters.
Thank you, Supervisor, and thank you to the board.
Thank you all.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
evening.
Okay, we have one more item before us. Our final item for tonight is a decision item on the town board's own motion to rescind all covenants and restrictions associated with TC 5144. And we know that that is the parcel at 100 Carlton Avenue. And Sean, I know that you've had discussions. We had this before us last month. The residents from Stewart all spoke on the issue. And one of the applicants in particular still had some concerns. I know I spoke with him. Sean, you've had subsequent conversations. And if you could share that with all of us and a brief overview of this, that would be very helpful.
So the staff has worked with both the exchange ambulance and the neighbors to improve the vegetative buffers that would be along the residential boundaries. And we now have a working plan to improve the aesthetics of Stewart Street. We believe we have worked out an agreement acceptable both town, the site's operators, and the neighbors most impacted by the changes that are going to occur on the property. In addition, the staff is supporting a covenant that prohibits vehicular access from Stewart Street, which is predominantly residential. And we will continue to work with the neighbors as issues may arise and as we formalize the plans for the south side of Stewart Street, immediately adjacent to the town's property.
Thank you, Sean. And really, I think we also need to send our appreciation to Exchange Ambulance and Mr. Stadelman in particular. He has met with all of the neighbors. They have talked about, working with them as far as selecting the fencing and the kinds of plantings that go in there. And in the conversation that I had with Mr. Lenz the other day, he wasn't quite sure whether he wanted the sidewalks that we were talking about putting in, that perhaps just the curb would be sufficient. But I assured him that the department would be working alongside him and working together to come to something that the entire neighborhood would be pleased with. And I think the curb cut's going to be wonderful in addressing some of the parking issues that are on Stewart, because more times than not, it's overparked, double parked because of the auto repair facility across the street from it. So I think at the end of the day, with Exchange going in there and with the plantings that are going in, it's going to be an overall benefit to that neighborhood. Are there any questions, comments?
Sean, did you figure out the fencing that they wanted for the residents?
I'm not privy to the details. And Mr. Stadelman is here at the hearing, but my understanding is he did meet with all the neighbors.
Yes, he did.
And they have worked out in concept what the fencing will be.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, motion? I'll make the motion
Second,
that we rescind all the covenants and restrictions associated with GC 5144. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved, and I believe that takes care of all the items on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Bergen. We stand